Hi folks, Wingman checking in. Today I'm up in the lovely Cleveland National Forest again. I always love it coming up here. And we're going to be doing a quick review on the Tops Brothers of Bushcraft Fieldcraft knife. We're going to steer away from the traditional review process. We're not going to sit down on a stump and just do the bullet points of the weight and the specs. There's a ton of videos out there with all that stuff on there. Just takes 2 seconds in a Google search. I think the viewer really wants to know what a person's opinion is of it and will it work for them in the application that they're looking to do. Now, when I purchased this knife, my original thoughts were that I'm gonna do maybe some bushcraft and campcraft projects with this, maybe use it as a survival quote hunting knife, keep in my pack, my hunting pack. Only time will tell. I have an ESEE RC4 that I did a review on, and I'll put a link in the description down below. That is a really good knife. So when I'm thinking about another Fieldcraft or Bushcraft knife, I'm kind of using that as the benchmark because that one's pretty much a home run in my opinion. Now, the Brothers of Bushcraft, they're a group of guys on YouTube here, and they got together, did a head shed, and kind of gave Tops their input on what they wanted to see in a Fieldcraft knife. Now, first thing they did was it's made out of 1095 and it has a modified Scandinavian grind, which is basically a first for Tops. Tops usually doesn't grind their knives like that. With any 1095 carbon steel, you're going to get corrosion. So I wanted to put a little patina on there to kind of help protect it, and whenever I'm done using my knives, I always put a light coat of oil on them. Now, one thing I like about Tops knives is they put on a great traction coating, and I own a few knives. I've done many video reviews on Tops knives, and their traction coating holds up great. It's lasts a long time. Now with anything, if you baton and you beat on the knife and you're gonna use it for what it's meant for, it's gonna wear. But just keep an oil on it, keep it lubricated when you're storing it, and wipe it off. If you're living in the Pacific Northwest or where I grew up in northern Maine, you know, you might want to wipe it down every day because rust can form, I mean, literally overnight. Now, one thing I really liked about this in the description and made me want to purchase it was a lot of people commented on how nice the scales were on this. And I must say, they're profiled really cool. They're really ergonomic, and it fits well in the hand. Now, the Brothers of Bushcraft, they put a little bow drill divot in there. So if you're doing a bow drill, you can use it as a socket. And this hole here is big enough to pull bullets with. And John Campbell, one of the Brothers of Bushcraft, does a video on that where he takes a bullet and takes it apart where you can use the gunpowder in a situation, maybe a survival situation where you have to light an emergency fire and there just isn't time. That's an option for you. Now, Joe Flowers, who invented the Shango notch, who's also part of the Brothers of Bushcraft, also put the Shango notch on there. And there's a lot of different opinions about the Shango notch. Do you love it? Do you hate it? The knife comes with a Kydex sheath, which I love, Kydex, and it has a nice fit. I don't see it falling out of there. It comes with a fire steel, and it also comes with the patented, the Tops whistle. What I would do, and a lot of guys are doing on the internet, is they're taking a piece of shock cord and they're looping it through the hole and the bottom so you don't lose your fire steel while you're out in the woods. Now, one criticism I have about the sheath, in my opinion, I'm not a big fan of these metal clips. I would have liked to seen Tops either put on a nylon belt loop or a leather belt loop. These things over time, in my opinion, just stretch out and they wear your clothes out. If it's riding hard on your hip or your belt, it's wearing the pants down. And pants aren't cheap nowadays, especially outdoor clothing. So the last thing you want to do is wear your clothes out because the clip rode hard on your hip. One thing advantage too about having leather and nylon, when it gets a little bit wet, or from body sweat or whatever, it doesn't slide around on the belt as much. And I find that with a metal clip, especially with a ballistic nylon belt, it slides around quite a bit. So then you're having to tighten up your belt to keep your knife from sliding to the front or the back of your hip or your side. Just one criticism, if Tops is watching, you might want to consider that. The only advantage of that belt clip would be that you can spin it so you could wear it different styles on your hip or on your pack. Love the ergonomics of the scales and the handle. The feel, it feels really well balanced. My only criticism is that Shango notch is useless. Thumbs down, brother. Joe Flowers, I'm sorry. It sucks. And if I was in a survival situation and I had to rely on that, I'm sorry, you'd probably die. It's not ergonomic. It's not safe. You're sliding the blade and a chance to cut yourself and get a mechanical injury out there, or it could be a life-threatening injury out there. I just feel that it's just useless. You would have been better off just leaving the top part of this area without any coating on it, with that nice 90-degree edge. Even John Campbell, who's one of the brothers of Bushcraft, uses the tip of the knife, and the Martin Survival uses it. So they both realize that this Shango notch, it's just a cosmetic item. Yeah, it scraped the magnesium all right, but say your fine motor skills are gone, you're in a hypothermic situation, or you have an injury to one of your hands. It's almost near impossible to start a fire like that. Now, I could see the bullet puller being useful. I haven't made a fireboard with it yet, but micarta handles always last well, being a socket for a bow drill. The jimping on this, outstanding. Like I said, the ergonomics, the feel. I was using it a little bit as a draw blade. Felt really good. The notch up here in the scales fit the thumb really well. Just how the profile of the scales, it was well thought out. This was just thrown on there, I think, just, oh, we got to add something else, so it was just thrown on. I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate mail for that, but it's just one man's opinion. The modified scanty grind, I love it. It cuts through and chops really well. If you pick up one of these knives, you can find them retail around $140. I found it for $109. I'll post a link down below in the description of where I found it for $109. Great value for $109. Kydex sheath, fire starter, and a whistle. I don't think you would be disappointed with this knife. The only knife that I would compare it to is an ESEE RC4, which I have and I've used extensively, and that knife's an A+. This knife is pretty close. Without that Shango notch, take that off, then we'd be an A+. Shango notch, you're talking A-. And that's Wingman's opinion on this plate. As always, thank you for watching, folks. Get out in the woods, play, and let's hear your comments. If you have a video response, you'd like to show me how to use the Shango notch properly, hey, I'm a noob at using the Shango notch. So thanks, folks, for watching. Take care. As always, Wingman. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.